So I guess we're here with Sharon Davidson Cook.
Hey.
Right?
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm good, I'm great.
Booker T in the building?
Yes.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I mean, what do you want? I don't even know where to begin. Where do you want me to begin? I'm from Norfolk. Grew up here all my life. Born and raised. I went to Booker T. Washington High School, and when I left Booker T, yes, my Bookers, once a Booker, always a Booker.
Yes.
And once I left there, I went to Virginia Tech.
Oh, really?
And got married my senior year of college, going into my senior year.
Okay.
Ladies don't do that.
Right.
A lot of memories right
You want to
there.
turn up?
But no, but we're still together. We're still strong. And ended up at Kansas State University. And because my husband was in the military. At the time we were stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas. And so finished my degree there and did radio and television for a while, had a little talk show, and realized that that was not a career that you needed if you had a family, because then I had a son at the time and pregnant with my daughter. And decided to try this teaching thing out a little bit. Both my parents are educators here in Norfolk as well. And did some substitute teaching. Then we ended up stationed discovered that I liked it. Ended up stationed at Fort Lee in Petersburg. And went to Virginia State University. And Trojans and all.
No,
All right.
But we
all right.
it's all right. It's all right.
Well, I did take some classes at Norfolk State.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
No, shout out to the Trojans.
Okay, all right.
Shout out to Aubrey.
Right.
Shout out to
Yeah. But earned my teaching degree through Virginia State, and then came here to Norfolk and started teaching here. Been doing it for 26 years now. I just finished my 26th year. Yeah.
And we're all 26 years at Booker T?
No. Started out at Northside Middle, and then went to Lafayette Winona Middle, and then Morey High School, and then in the last 3 years I've been at
You're
Booker
also
T.
an excellent performer, aren't you?
And
A lot of
yeah,
shows.
and that's another part of my whole saga or whatever.
Yes.
I am an actress. Do theater, musical theater is what I prefer. And started out at Booker T, Hurrah Players.
Hey.
And Hurrah Players at that time was the prototype, if you will, for Governor School of the Arts,
Yes.
because we had a program that in which there were 25 slots. You had to audition, and so young people from all over the city of Norfolk at that time could audition. You would take your classes at your home school, commute over to Booker T, and then from 12:30 until whenever you did all of your theater stuff. We went to what is now, was Virginia Ballet. It was Tidewater Ballet then. We took all of our dance classes, jazz, tap, and ballet. And then, did all of our theater studies and theory and stuff at Booker T, and worked on our productions in our whole little season. And yeah.
So you are seasoned.
And so, yeah.
So I have a question about you and performances as being an actor.
Mhm.
Everybody thinks that it's so easy. Like you just get the script and you turn into Viola Davis. Can you give us your progression in going into a role and making sure it's perfect? Like your process.
Okay, well, I am one who loves process, for one. I love rehearsals more so than actually the actual performance.
Yeah.
But one of the first things that I like to do is, once I've been cast in a role, and I don't know if you're talking about going even further back, do we do auditioning for a role? But when I'm cast in the role, what I like to do first is I read through the whole script. Always know the entire script. Don't just look at your part or what you're doing. And then I begin to assess, like, okay, so what is my goal here? What's the overall goal in terms of the entire script? And then I break down and look at the scenes, every scene that my character is in, and I decide, okay, so what is the goal in this particular scene that leads to the ultimate goal? I do a lot of script scoring, going through. I, look at the message. I try to read between the lines.
Right.
I try to think opposite too. Like if the role requires me to, cry or something like that. Sometimes I think, how would it be if I played opposite of that? And instead of like how we stereotypically say, oh no, I gotta be all like this, or I'm supposed to be mad. What if mad was just like,
Right. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
So just finding different ways to breathe life into the character and to do things that kind of go opposite of what people actually expect.
So making bold choices.
Yes, exactly. Make a choice and you stick with
Stick
it.
with it.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly,
okay.
exactly.
So I wanted to ask you a question pertaining to the educator side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I hear there are a lot of kids that suffer from issues at home.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, how do you adjust your teaching style in order to encompass those kids and help them learn?
I always try to, I may not be able to fully understand because a lot of the stuff that some of these kids go through, it is far from my experience. But at the same time, I do try to empathize and put myself in their shoes, in that position. I also don't like, because what I see happening sometimes is there are some teachers who, oh my gosh, Johnny, he's got such a bad home life and everything is, so there's this low expectation. How can I expect him to do any work? How can I say, so I'm just not gonna, and it's, poor Johnny, that kind of thing. I try to look at it more like you have been born into this situation, but this does not equate to your destiny. And so you got to do whatever it is that you need to do to fight to change things, to move out of here. And so if I just sit here and let you just put your head down or just wallow in it, I'm doing you a disservice. And so, I know that each child has a different learning style. I try to adapt my teaching style to however they learn best. I try to use real life examples. I try to find things that I know would be of interest to them in order to reach them. And just to kind of, sometimes when I teach, they think they're not like, oh, hey, this class was good today. We didn't do. They don't realize that we were learning. We were,
Okay, so you catch
because
them
we
off
were,
guard.
we were having this discussion,
Wow.
and you were learning something, and you were making connections, and you didn't realize you were making connections,
Right.
to whatever the text is that we're studying and that sort of thing.
So it's
Genius.
I mean, that's actually a beautiful thing in teaching when you actually can get the students involved into what's going on, but in their minds they're not even realizing that they're learning, making it fun for education. But along with, let's stay with the education question. I know that your father is a great educator around the area. How much?
It's been 2 years.
Okay, I apologize. And I
It's
send my
okay, it's
condolences.
okay.
But most definitely, how much of a effect did he have
He had a
on
great. I am at Booker T right now because of my dad.
That's beautiful.
My career has come full circle, and I know my calling is higher than me. Let me tell y'all this real quick. Let me just share this. It is so important. I see people struggling in their careers and that sort of thing because they don't know their purpose. It is so important to know your purpose. Your vocation is your what, but your purpose is your why. Why do you do your what? Why do you do what you do? I teach theater, I direct plays and things for Hurrah Players Now. I perform with Virginia Musical Theater. I teach, at Booker T. I'm department chair, whatever, all that kind of stuff. But my purpose is higher than that. And my purpose is to inspire.
Yes.
And so when I look at, even when I'm having a bad day or whatever, I know that this thing is bigger than me. You
Yes,
know,
it is.
God ordained it so, and it's bigger than me.
Amen.
And so sometimes after performance, if I like go out and take a bow and I'm crying and people think I'm crying because the audience is clapping or whatever, I'm like, no, I'm crying because it is bigger than me. It is so much more.
Yes.
You know, when my kids do well on something or they get it, it's bigger than me. And so I'm there at Booker T. I'm in them trenches. Somebody asked me one time, did I want to go downtown for a job? No, I like to be with all the crazy stuff happening.
Amen.
With the little,
And we
somebody
need
pulling
more
the fire
of you. Right,
alarm and all that
right.
kind of crazy stuff going on.
Right.
That's I want to be in the middle
Right.
of all of that kind of
And we
stuff.
need more of you.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
I understand my purpose. So know your purpose.
Yes.
And it makes life a lot more easier.
All right, so to pretty much wrap this up, the last question that we have for you is, how can somebody in our position, recent graduates or people that are about to graduate, what can we do to affect the lives of high school students and middle school students? How do we give back? What should we be doing to give back?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I say go into, a lot of times people want to come into the schools and all that kind of stuff, and that's all good and well, but sometimes you got to go into the communities. You got to go into those rec centers. The people don't do that as much as, well, from what I've seen, it's not happening as much as it used to happen. I used to direct a local gospel choir, and I went into the rec center at Berkeley, and that's where we held choir. That's where I had choir rehearsal for these kids, and then I would take them to different churches and stuff to sing, and there used to be midnight musicals and stuff like that. But you got to go into their communities and find them,
Absolutely.
you know, and then you got to stick with them.
Right.
No,
Because so many times they come and then they go. I got a boys group. I had a boys group this past year. It was a class of ninth graders, repeaters.
Okay.
So they were over age and that sort of thing. But I loved that class more than anything. It was just 10 of us, 10 of them in there. And it was all boys, one girl. And I just needed guys, men to come there to talk to. Because they would ask me stuff sometimes and I'd be like, Lord, child, man